I think there's a strong argument to be made that Carlos Corberán is the manager of the season in La Liga. Sorry, Hansi Flick and Barcelona fans, but what he's done is absolutely extraordinary.
Some unsung heroes for the 24-25 season, manager edition. We know Claudio Ranieri, his story, what an incredible job he's done at the club he loves, Roma. Carlos Corberán, not many managers have been better since he arrived at Valencia, one of the top teams in Spain since he arrived. And of course, in France, Liam Rosenior for Strasbourg, an incredible season that he's had. Let's get into some of these managers and what they've done this season. And we start first with Claudio Ranieri. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show. This Roma team was a disaster early in the season. It's their third. He is the third manager this season. They were 4 points away from the relegation zone, and when Ranieri took over, it's been an incredible achievement. 15 wins, 5 draws, 4 losses, and you mentioned here less than a goal a match conceded, which has been kind of the key to this run for Claudio Ranieri. I think his best moments, Chris, were away from Italy, not in his home country. Where does this put him now as far as legacy of Italian managers coming back to Serie A and doing what he's done with Roma this season? Does it kind of give him a little bit of a boost again and put him in that upper echelon of Italian managers?
Well, I think it depends on sort of who you ask. Again, I do think the fact that big achievement with Leicester happening out, if he had done it with Cagliari, right? Let's say he takes Cagliari and goes and wins Serie A, right? And the incredible underdog story that we saw, then I think he's sort of in this conversation. But the fact that he does it in England, I think, changes the Italian perspective on it. From my perspective, he's right up there. And even again, proving it again, that sort of late stage, I still got it. I still know how to manage in the Italian game. I still know how to manage at the highest levels in Europe. But obviously a World Cup winner in Lippi, Trapattoni, and Capello and Sacchi, some of the giants, the managerial giants of the game. Ranieri's right up there. And I think maybe he needed this one last thing, this one final job to remind everyone, this is what I can do when put in charge of a team, that I'm this good of a manager, that I know this. But for me, that Italian perspective, because Leicester didn't happen in Italy, because, yes, it's a brilliant achievement. You say, oh, that's one of us. We went and did that. But it's still, he needed that little bit, that last Italian reminder, I think, of what he can do at this high of a level.
I think it even boosted even further for me what he did with Leicester, and the fact that he can go to multiple countries and different football and figure out a way to be a successful manager. For me, he's definitely on that Mount Rushmore, if you will, of Italian managers, because he's been able to do it not only in Italy but abroad. And I mean, just the champion winning winning the league in England with Leicester City, that alone. I mean, it's going to be the biggest moment of his career, most likely. It could be the biggest moment of one of the biggest moments in sports history.
In sports history, right? Not even in football history, in sports history. And I think that elevates. And look, Ancelotti's won multiple Champions League. Lippi won the World Cup. Roberto Mancini wasn't even on that graphic. Won the Euros with Italy. Obviously, in Italy, those achievements with the national team. But in terms of a singular job that one coach has done, none of those managers on that list, for as good as they are, have come anywhere close to what Ranieri did with Leicester. It is the all-time greatest achievement. So maybe he just needed that one last little bit to remind Italian fans, but I think the world over, you have to respect 100% what Ranieri has done in his career, and specifically that achievement with Leicester.
It's been a beautiful season for him at Roma, and it still could end with a Champions League berth, which, again, would be an incredible achievement from where they were when he took over. All right, let's move on to a younger manager, a little bit on the other end of the spectrum. Let's go to France with Liam Rosenior. What he's done with Strasbourg, again, a club that no one expected to be within the European places in Ligue 1. He's done that. He was rewarded with a contract extension as well. It really has been a fantastic achievement and season for what he's done. And he was on, here is his career profile, his first season as a manager at Strasbourg. He's just 40 years old. He played on the English youth team. He can qualify for the European competition on the last match day of the season. Still so much to be decided yet in Ligue 1. But it's really been a fantastic season for him. We had him on Morning Footy earlier this week to chat about the transition moving over to France.
An amazing move for me. Not many English coaches get the opportunity to go to the continent or to go abroad to work. So when I was given this opportunity, I wanted to make the most of it, to improve, to grow myself, to learn a different language and a different culture. I have to say my French is still not perfect by any stretch, but I've got really, really good players. I've got a really, really good staff who help me. And I'm enjoying every minute of being here. It's an amazing club to be at the moment.
And this is a manager that also had interest from some clubs in England as well and chose to sign the extension and stay. And as you can see here, he's on the brink of European football.
Yeah, tied on points with Nice and Lille, who currently represent the teams in 4th and 5th in Ligue 1. You win and you get the advantage. All of a sudden, you're playing Europa League football next season with Strasbourg, who are not a club that are used to this. And let's also be very clear that we took over this job, that Strasbourg are a club that aren't even necessarily fully in favor as a fan base of what has happened to them. They've been taken over by the Chelsea group. They take a lot of the Chelsea players on loan. And it's not a guarantee that you can make that work, that you're making work a loan army with a group of players already there and you're buying within France. And yet he has somehow managed to make it all work together. You look at some of the key players in that team. Georgia Petrovic, former New England goalkeeper and the current Chelsea goalkeeper as well, has been fantastic. André Santos as well in that midfield has been sensational. But you look at, this is a club that for the most part does not compete towards the top end of the table, and yet here he is. And I think it's also worth noting as well where Rosenior comes from. He was last the manager of Hull. He was let go at the end of last season despite getting Hull pretty close to the promotion playoff places. And we actually have a quote from the owner of Hull City at the time when he made that decision. He said, Liam is a very good coach and will be very successful. He is young and a very good character. There's so many positive things, but at the end of the day, me and my team are dreaming of something for this club. And there is a football style that we want to see on the pitch. So Rosenior, he felt, couldn't deliver that, even though he got him close to the playoffs. Now look at where Hull are, 21st in the championship, and where Rosenior is on the brink of qualifying an underdog, let's say, a team that you wouldn't expect to be in the business end of Ligue 1 for European play. So all the credit to Rosenior for what he's done, and also kind of taking an early blow. It's still young yet in his managerial career. He's only 40 years old. To take a blow from an owner on the way out and then go to your next club and kind of stick it to him, incredible. Absolutely incredible work.
One of those quotes that you can imagine will end up on our Frozen Takes exposed because that was a bad one, especially when you're seeing what he's doing now with Strasbourg. Again, a team that is not expected to compete, as we saw, for European spots, and they're right there.
And Hull got rid of his replacement, Tim Falter, in, I believe, less than half a season.
Yeah, how'd that style work out for Hull City?
How'd that style work out?
All right, we move on. Let's go to Spain because with the job that Carlos Corberán has done with Valencia, it really is second to none because this is a team and a city as well that's dealt with so much, the massive flooding that really took a toll on so many people in such a tragic situation for Valencia. And he just kept this team going. And since he took charge of this team, they are only Barcelona has got more points since he took over. It really is fantastic. And Valencia now with European football as an actual target for them this season.
Right. They were in the relegation zone in December. And yet you're saying they could be playing European football next season. They're only 2 points off Rayo Vallecano for that Conference League place. And for Corberán, this is not an easy job. There have been a lot of managers that have come and gone through this club that unfortunately have been a sleeping giant in Spain. This is a club that regularly qualified for the Champions League in the past, and yet Corberán doing that work.
Our very own CBS Sports Spanish correspondent, Phil Kitromilides, gave us his take on Carlos Corberán.
I think there's a strong argument to be made that Carlos Corberán is the manager of the season in La Liga. Sorry, Hansi Flick and Barcelona fans, but what he's done is absolutely extraordinary. He took over on Christmas Day, 2024, with the side second bottom, 9 points from a possible 24. It wasn't just that, though. The whole atmosphere around the club was absolutely terrible. The fans have long since been disillusioned with the ownership of Peter Lim. This season, they really felt like they were going down. The atmosphere, the aura around the club was so negative, and he's changed all that. Let's look at the numbers. Since Christmas Day, if the La Liga table started on Christmas Day up until now, Valencia would be fourth. They would be fighting for the Champions League. During the same time period, only Barcelona have picked up more points than Valencia. It's been a remarkable turnaround. There have been a lot of footballing tweaks to the team and how they play. They want to be more on the front foot than Valencia were under Ruben Baraja, who were a bit more cautious, didn't take as many risks. They want the ball a little bit more. When Carlos Corberán and his team took over at Valencia, they thought the defensive numbers were actually pretty good, but there was a lot of margin for improvement in the offense, in the way that the team attacked, and we've seen that. Diego Lopez is playing a bit more as a number 10, not quite as wide. Javi Guerra is getting forward and scoring. There's been a monumental improvement in almost every player. Here's the caveat. We'll see what happens next season because Georgi Mamadashvili is off. He's been sold to Liverpool. Barnechea and Umar Sadiq are loan players. Javi Guerra is probably getting sold as well. So next season could be tough. But let's stay in the here and now. What Corberán has done at Valencia is absolutely monumental. And they're dreaming now of Europe, just 2 points away from a European place.
And because of that, what we hear there, European spots being so important, because they're going to lose a lot of those players to loans, they do need to reinvest so they could use that European money to be able to reinvest in this squad. Still, how has he been able to turn this team around? We were talking, like we said, we're talking relegation possibly for a proud club in Valencia that when we were growing up were the top 5-6 teams in Spain every single year. How has he been able to do it? What has he been able to get from this side?
Yeah, I mean, to me, looking at this team and looking at the work that he's done, you're reminded of the fact that this is a coach who worked under Marcelo Bielsa, has some of that sort of defensive principles about him. But I think Valencia are a club that, as you mentioned, sort of have that pedigree to be able to do this. I think it required a moment, as you mentioned, with the issues that happened with the floods in that area. It required one of their native sons to come in and inspire the team and inspire this club, because there have just been such a doldrums around this team. There's been such a feeling of, oh, it's just never going to get better. We're never going to get back there. And yet one manager, and over the course of, now we're talking half a season since he's been in charge, have played at a Champions League level, have played at a level that would have qualified them for the top four had he been in charge from the beginning of the season. This is what it looks like in 2025 in this calendar year. Real Madrid have only been 2 points better in La Liga than this Valencia side. Level of points at Betis, who we've talked about all year long, is having this incredible run since that January transfer window. And Valencia, this has been so unexpected. I really thought that this was the year that they were going to go down. And sometimes it can't just be one managerial appointment that makes all the difference, and this is what Corberán has been to this club.
And it really has, because it was all negative. It was, the ownership group was bad, the stadium issues that have been going on for a decade now with this side, not being able to get the correct players in, having issues that, like we said, that we were talking relegation. Like it was a realistic possibility for this team. So the job that he's done, I mean, we talk about unsung heroes. He might be the biggest unsung hero of them all in Europe, because this was a team that was dead in the water, and now they are fighting for a European spot still at this point in La Liga season. Those are our unsung heroes of the 24-25 season.